This past weekend, Bitcoin hit $107,000. Now, to most people, they're probably not paying attention, but to me, this is actually a very, very, very big deal in the whole saga of what Bitcoin is and how this cycle in crypto is not over. Now, I want to show you two things that we've been watching for a little bit of a while on this channel, and it's that the two scenarios of is Bitcoin going to go higher to something like 120, 130, $140,000? And what does that look like? How do you jump on the train at the right time? The other scenario is, does Bitcoin do a double top here like it did in 2021? And is this the final push before we head into our bear market? Basically, is Bitcoin going to fail at this level and fail to make a higher high? So what happens here really is going to tell us the majority of what's going to happen for the rest of 2025. If Bitcoin fails to make a higher high, we're probably going to go lower throughout the rest of the year. There will be some pumps and some dips, but overall the trend is going to be lower, probably $60 to $50,000 over a long term. Now, if Bitcoin can make a higher high at this level and prove that the bull market is still on, I think that we can see something like 120 to $180,000, somewhere in that range throughout the rest of this year, which would obviously be very good for not only Bitcoin but crypto and the rest of the markets. Let me show you everything that I am seeing here and what that means for the crypto world. Before I get too deep into this, also, I want to make sure that you know in the description we have a Crypto 100x blueprint. You're going to get a lot of content like this where we talk about charts, trading, how to really learn this stuff, right? There's a lot of information out there, but we really condense it into some really good information we give away for free. So if that interests you, join us in the Crypto 100x blueprint. You can just read the articles and learn as much as you want. Now, we know people are getting bullish on crypto. Even JP Morgan is offering access to Bitcoin this week to their clients. That's the news Jamie Dimon just came out with. So it's very interesting when people who are so against Bitcoin are starting to turn the tide. And I think that's why we're seeing Bitcoin at $107,000. Now, this is a weekly chart for Bitcoin. And this week on Sunday, actually opened at about $107,000. On Monday, it dropped all the way down to about $103,000 or $102,000. And then throughout the beginning of this week, Monday and Tuesday, Bitcoin has been bouncing around. But I really like the price action that we're seeing here with Bitcoin almost back at $107,000. And it makes it seem like this week could close out very strong, maybe even higher than $107,000 where Bitcoin started. Maybe it can get $108,000, something like that. Our high that we need to take out here from January 2025 is $109,356. If you're wondering where I'm seeing that, you can see it right up here. This H, this is the high for each week. This high is $109,000. Now, I sort of have some very basic stuff I want to show you here that you can replicate at home in order to make a very informed decision. These are our resistance band, and you can kind of do this however you want. You can do it off of the close, so that would be around $104,500, or you can do it along the wick. This wick is up here at $108,000. This wick's at $109,000, and some people will like to do this in a different way. I think both are very applicable, and you should use both at different times. So, for instance, you could have put a buy order here at this $104,500 level to buy Bitcoin when it goes above it. Or you can do the same thing here at about $109,000 to buy Bitcoin as it goes above it in order to ride that momentum higher. But here's the two scenarios, okay? The first scenario is obviously Bitcoin is in a bullish uptrend. You can see how every cycle Bitcoin sits above the 30 and 40 week moving average as it is going up. Now, every cycle there's a little bit of a pullback. You can see how in 2013 we had this pullback to the 30. 2017 was pretty clean, but you did get this pullback and this pullback. 2021 we had a pullback kind of right here, but really still super clean. This cycle has been a little bit different, I think, just because of such uncertainty in the market. But you can see Bitcoin rode the 30 and 40 week and is still riding that and has yet to really close below the 40 week, meaning that it is still in a stage 2 uptrend. So we are still bullish. Now, the way that this bullish scenario continues is that Bitcoin breaks out above this $109,000 level and makes a new high. What that could look like is Bitcoin could come up here, test the $109,000 level, and fall down before going back up and testing it again. It could just have a C-shaped recovery and just break through it over the next couple of weeks. So there's a couple scenarios we could watch out here, just so you're not afraid if Bitcoin doesn't break it immediately. Just to represent this, you could have a couple ways that Bitcoin goes about breaking above this $109,000 level. You could have a C cup just a cup on the cup and handle, which would look like this, right? Bitcoin just makes the cup and the cup and handle, and then it has enough momentum to break above that $109,000 level off of that cup. Now, if that doesn't happen, it could be a cup and handle, where the handle maybe kind of dips down a little bit, and Bitcoin price will kind of come down a little bit before coming back up to the $109,000 level and breaking above. The third way that you could have it is called a VCP pattern, and you can think of it as one cup here, then you kind of get another cup down here, which would come and test this 30-week moving average, and then you can get maybe a third cup that's even tighter along that $109,000 level. And as each cup happens, Bitcoin will get less volatile and will get more contracted against this $109,000 resistance level before having a rapid volume push above $109,000. To me, this looks like the most plausible scenario. It looks like Bitcoin is going to go up, and it can even remain bullish by falling down again. So this has been a great, spectacular, like 2 months of work for Bitcoin to come up to this $107,000 level where it is now. It would not be unreasonable to see Bitcoin touch this $108,000, $109,000 level and then retrace back down to about 95,000, 96,000. This 30-week moving average is coming up at a rapid pace. This 40-week moving average is coming up at a rapid pace. And so as long as Bitcoin stays above this 30-week moving average, we are in very, very, very bullish territory. No matter what the news tells you, no matter what people tell you, if you are above a 30-week moving average, you are bullish, okay? So Bitcoin has all this room to play with. And if it decides to play with it, if it decides to drop a little bit, do not be afraid. If Bitcoin's above the 30-week moving average, my message to you is do not be afraid, because Bitcoin will simply be coming down and can test this area. And then if it does come down to test the 30-week, you can simply wait and see, does it bounce back up off the 30 or does it break down to the 40? The bullish scenario is it stays above the 30. And if it did fall down to the 30, break back, towards the upside and stay above the 30, which is what I assume is my base case scenario of what's happening, then you would likely get a retest at 109, which would Bitcoin would probably break above it. Okay. That is the bullish scenario. Basically, Bitcoin stays above the 30-week moving average, which is what it's doing, and it heads towards 109, where it will find resistance at this level. Okay, this whole band here between 104,000 and 109,000 is massive resistance, because Bitcoin's never been above that before, right? There are millions of people who took profit at this level, which is what caused this decline to happen over the last 5 months, I guess. And so when we come back into this level, Bitcoin will have the same type of resistance. Anybody who bought Bitcoin up here at $109,000 might be looking to sell as Bitcoin gets closer, because they just want out of the position. The beautiful thing about this, though, is that if Bitcoin and when Bitcoin breaks above $109,000, it has no resistance, because nobody will be in a loss. Anyone who has ever bought Bitcoin will be in a profit as it breaks above $109,000, meaning the path of least resistance for Bitcoin is definitely up. So that's the bullish case scenario. That is the bullish case scenario that I am a proponent of, and I actually believe is happening here with Bitcoin. The bearish scenario would look like this. Bitcoin comes up here, touches this $109,000, $108,000 level, this range that it's getting very close to, and gets rejected, right? Now, we said that that's still bullish. It can still be bullish. It will be bullish unless Bitcoin tests the 30 and then breaks below that down to the 40. Now, if it breaks below the 30 and touches the 40, it's in kind of a medium area. It's not bearish just yet, but it's in kind of a, okay, what in the world is going on? I'm going to stop buying Bitcoin. I'm going to be a little cautious at this area. Then we have to decide what happens. Back here, you can see Bitcoin came down to the 40, but never closed below it. It never closed down here. It immediately popped back up. The same thing happened the last time in 2024. Bitcoin came down here. It never really had a close. You can see how this week closed down, but this next week recovered immediately. And so Bitcoin has never really closed below that 40-week moving average this cycle so far. And so the bearish scenario is Bitcoin tests 109, fails, and then loses the 30, and then loses the 40, and has a close below the 40-week moving average at around $86,000, $85,000. If it takes a while, it could be up here at around $90,000. And so this area would be the bearish scenario if Bitcoin cannot hold the price momentum that it is currently making. The bearish scenario on a longer term time frame would go something like this. Bitcoin would obviously, we talked about how Bitcoin would fall, right? It would fall down, it would lose all of these moving averages, and then it would probably come down here and it would test something like this. Many people have talked about something like this. Bitcoin would come down here and test this area probably and get a massive bounce as these moving averages roll over. So what would happen if Bitcoin lost the 30 and 40 moving average is they would roll over, Bitcoin would come down here and test this, and then most likely come up, test the 30 week or 40 week moving average, whichever one's below, and then get rejected down for the rest of like 2026 or something like that. So I don't really think that's super likely, but I definitely think it's something you should keep your eye out on. I think the better thing you can do is focus on the bullish scenario, as that seems to be the one that is playing out right now. Bullish people will make more money long term, and it's much better to be bullish in the long term. This week is a very important week for Bitcoin. It's at heights that it really has never seen before. I saw it briefly in very early 2025, late 2024, right, on this wick in December and this wick in January. But it has never really had a weekly close above $104.5 thousand. These last 2 weeks are very significant because Bitcoin actually closed the week at around $106,000. And then now we are opening the week at $107,000. And currently the close is around $106,000. So Bitcoin has 5 days left in this week. And I think it's going to be very important for this week and next week and the next couple weeks in May and in June to help us decide what Bitcoin's going to do. Obviously, my base case after watching this is that, as Bitcoin gets above these 30 and 40 week moving averages, we're in the bullish zone. There's no other thing to worry about. No matter what news is going on, no matter what kind of cycle theory or narrative is going on, Bitcoin is in this very bullish territory. And as we're recording this video, you can see how fast it's rising. We're at $107.2 thousand now, right? We started at 106, now we're at $107,000. Bitcoin is going up fast, and it pays to be a bullish investor at this time. If you want a different way to look at this, what I would suggest is to go on to the daily chart. You can have another way to look at this, and we can compare this on the daily chart as well. This is going to be the daily Bitcoin chart, and you have the 50 week, the 150, or the 50 day, the 150 day, and the 200 day moving average here on this chart. And you can see how when Bitcoin is obviously above that 50 day, it's doing very well. You can see that right here. You can see that right here. And then the 200 day is going to be your long-term moving average for the uptrend of Bitcoin, right? If it's above the 200, it's getting bullish, right? You can see right here, Bitcoin's above the 50 and the 200, and then it has a massive rise. Right here, Bitcoin's above the 50 and the 200, and then it has a massive rise. And so that theme kind of stays true. You can see that right here. Bitcoin gets above the 200 again, and then starts this massive rise. And so as we are right here, you can see these moving averages converging. You can see the resistance level here with the wicks, and you can see what Bitcoin's doing, sitting on top of this $104,000 level on the daily chart. But these moving averages are simply just building this awesome spot of support for Bitcoin right here, to where if it did get rejected, it will simply come down and touch these moving averages that are coming up like this. That 50 days coming across, that 150 days curling up, and that 200 days coming up right here. And so we have this awesome level of support that Bitcoin could fall to, touch, and then head back up if needed, if it cannot break above that $109,000 level at this time. I think the move for Bitcoin might be a little bit more rapid than a lot of people are thinking. And we could, over the next, week or two, get above that level as a significant part of what Bitcoin's going to be this summer. I think that, let's move back to the weekly chart real quick. I think that this summer could potentially be just like the 2017 summer. And so to put that in context for you, in the summer months, typically you can see how right here, this is in 2013, Bitcoin had a flat summer, right? May, June, July, August. This is a flat summer. In 2021, where is it? 2021, Bitcoin in May, June, July, August had a flat summer. This whole area is summer. Okay. But in 2017, the summer was actually really good. Let's find the summer here. This is going to be May, June. July was a down month. August was back up. September continuing up even higher. And so we have this very bullish summer in 2017 after what was maybe a slower start to the year. What is very interesting about this is that Bitcoin might be having a 2017 type cycle where you can see this. 2013 was pretty rapidly up. 2021 was pretty rapidly up. 2017 was much more drawn out and had a very bullish summer 2025 might look to be doing the same thing, especially given that we've already had these major retraces. And so Bitcoin had a big retrace here, it had a big retrace here. And if Bitcoin's going to get above this level, obviously it seems like it would have a solid month or two of upwards progress. Like right here, it had a solid month and a half of upwards progress. Here it had about, 3 months of upwards progress. And so Bitcoin, if it breaks above the $109,000 level, I think that's the most realistic scenario, would then have a month or two of solid upwards propulsion, especially if we're comparing Bitcoin to something like the M2 money supply that we talked about previously. So this is what I think is the bull case and the bear case for Bitcoin, what I actually think is going on and happening. And I think that this is a very, very good time to be in Bitcoin. And if it breaks above this 109,356 level, it will only go up more rapidly than everyone's thinking. And so if it can find the power to get above that level, people are going to start buying it at unprecedented levels, and we could pretty rapidly see Bitcoin hit like 112, 115, 120, 125. It will make the next leap like this and like this much quicker than people anticipate. That's what I think is going on with Bitcoin. Bull case, bear case. If you're still watching the video, I'd appreciate a like and a subscribe. I appreciate all the support on the channel, and we will see you next time for more crypto content.